Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the February meeting of the Athens in Motion Commission. We are down at the planning department and also online. I think we're getting our dual meeting format figured out now, so I can share my screen from my laptop. So we still have a couple of members trickling in. Daniel, do we have any public comment?
Yes. We had one email writing in regards to hoping that we continue to publish these online. I figured out what happened, and basically I never actually published our last meeting.
Okay.
And there was also something other weird happening from tech side, but he fixed it. So our stuff should be viewable and it should be live right now and people should know about it.
Great.
Allegedly. So, do you want me to read it out?
I think that we can see it here, and we appreciate it's Mr. Lett. Is that correct?
Yeah. It is Claude Lett.
Yes. Thank you, Claude, for letting us know. And we were really happy to remedy that technical issue. I agree. It's wonderful that the public can tune in, not just to mayor and commission meetings, but to our boards, authorities, and commissions, and get a feel for what's going on. And also, take a look into the past and see how decisions were made and what conversations were had. And so we appreciate you and thank you for your kind comments about the work that we're doing on the Athens in Motion Commission. I have posted a link on our agendas going forward where people can find the playlist for our recorded meetings just to make it a little bit easier. And so we thank him for that. Any other public comment?
No.
We do have our agenda and we won't be able to approve it until we have another member show up. But I did make some changes today. We do have a lot to go through, and I will, as politely as possible, be cutting people off, including myself at certain times. So heads up there. Any additions, corrections, removals from the agenda?
You want to share your screen?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I will share my screen. I do want to share it. All right, here's our agenda. Here's where the links are posted to it. I can make this a bit bigger. A couple of chair notes, and I've highlighted some items I'm going to send off to committee just because we have a lot to do. Big ticket items are talking about the Athens in Motion plan revisions, talk a little bit about Barber Street, quick raise grant approval letter so Sherelle can submit that grant application and our standard updates from TPW. Really, this agenda is almost more like notes. So we're not going to be able to get through all these project updates. And it's really just what we have time for. And then we'll have some more report backs at the end from our vice chair, the chair chiming in as needed. Top. Comments, additions, corrections, anything you want to take off?
No.
All right. Well, you cannot approve this right now until we get more folks coming in. And just so folks at home are aware, we definitely have some AIM commissioners who are tuning in remotely, but due to state law, we can't have them count towards quorums, but we do appreciate them being here. We have some on the way to help us meet our quorum. So I'll go ahead and go into, along those lines, our January 24th minutes. And I did make some tweaks here. This looks like a lot. But what I was really just trying to convey for future planning, sorry, I can try and make this a bit bigger, is that we need to, for that reason, distinguish between AIM commissioners who are here and who are online and who are absent. So that's all that really is there. And I forget, what is the term for like when you're like a de facto member? What is it?
Ex officio?
Ex officio. was like, what? I could not think of the term ex officio. We're saying ex officio. And last month, Craig was online.
Lauren,
And
do
I
you
think that,
need me to come in? I can come in now. I'm done with my meeting.
okay, I think John Devine is on the way, Mark.
Would that give you a quorum?
That should give us 5, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just let me know. I can always hop down.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And I think James was out last month. Does that sound right? That he wasn't enlisted and present, but I've started to indicate when folks are out. Any comments, corrections?
We can go ahead and dive into it probably if you wanna get some updates.
Dive into, the minutes?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were still looking at the.
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind.
All right, well, these are the minutes and we will approve them at a later time.
Okay.
You know, this is what happens when you have a really tiny commission full of dedicated people. We need everyone here. All right, so we'll go on to the rest of our agenda. So I have 2 items for chair's notes and I will stop sharing my screen for the moment. But we do get a report of traffic fatalities from Transportation and Public Works, keeping us in the loop on those things. I want to have Education and Communications Committee work with Sherelle, our Vision Zero coordinator, on how we can talk about those things. Because I feel like the silence from our Bike and Pedestrian Commission, it just feels like it's a bit deafening in some ways, like that we should be saying something. And we don't have to be, I mean, I get really sad and depressed when I read about these fatalities because I feel like they're so unnecessary. But we don't need to be just doom and gloom, but I do want to find some way to talk about like what we're doing, or maybe a note about Vision Zero. And Teresa, that can be a template. That could be social media, it could be a press release. And we'll just need to make sure that the language that we use is pretty official, because a lot of times these accidents are still under investigation. So we'll make sure that, you know, we're not saying anything that isn't true.
So we want to acknowledge the fact that somebody died. And then we want to say that Athens-Clarke County is taking steps to reduce the number of fatalities going forward.
Something along those lines, yeah. And Sherelle will probably have some ideas as Vision Zero coordinator. Sherelle, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, does this sound okay to work with the Education and Communications Committee on this?
Absolutely. When is y'all's next committee meeting?
We haven't scheduled it, so we can talk about that later on or tomorrow with Daniel.
Yeah, I do have a note in this
Let's go.
meeting to schedule our meetings.
Yes, please. Yeah,
Was
I
requested by,
think last week last month, I missed all of them, so that'd be cool.
all right, thank you. Yeah, just let us know what y'all think.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important.
Next chair's note is, it's taking a lot to put these agendas together. We just have so much to cover. And so I wanted to put forth the idea of doing like what some other commissions do, which is have an executive committee meet. So this would be chair, vice chair, secretary, so you, Blaine, and then our committee leads. So that would also include Randy and Mark. Maybe an hour-long meeting to put together our agenda a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks before these meetings. And Daniel and Sherelle, I don't know if y'all really need to be at those. And I don't know if this counts how this counts in terms of meetings, or if we can do them online or what.
I'll get some details for you.
Okay,
Be great if we could do it.
yes. Would y'all want to join me in this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Conversation?
I'm
Okay.
fine either way.
Thanks, Johnny.
We are a little thin today, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're nervous.
Randy, my far enough away.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
And thank you for your consideration.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Appreciate you coming in.
Only just occurred to me on the way out the door.
Is there, how about this? I'll make a note to follow up with y'all after this meeting and we'll talk about times and try and fit it in between all of our committee meetings and.
It might be something to vote on whether, I think, because this would be forming an executive committee.
Okay,
So y'all might need to vote on that. I'm finding out, but like, it wouldn't hurt to do that real quick.
so I'm making a motion to form an executive committee to meet once a month ahead of our monthly meetings for an hour or so to form our agenda. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Second from Teresa. All those in favor, please say aye.
Can I ask a question as we vote?
Yeah,
Who's on the executive committee?
yeah, so that's chair,
Vice
vice chair,
chair.
secretary, and committee leads.
I would have voted yes if I
In
was.
favor?
You're running against it. Mark.
He said he would have voted yes.
All right, so we have an executive committee. Thank you all. Great, and we are on track for our meeting. So I'll share my screen again to go to the next item on our agenda, which is the Athens Emotion Plan update. Okay. So we have to update the plan every 5 years, and I know we keep kind of dancing around this. I think we'd hope to get all initial plan comments in by today. That was the extension. I have some additional thoughts, but I will bring them forward to our committees. So Daniel, I was thinking of kind of a broad timeline. Is this something that has to be passed this calendar year? Is that right?
I mean, it's fully up to you guys. The plan recommends a 5-year update. I recommend a 5-year update. The fact is that it's not like a hard and fast thing. There's no regulatory agency that requires this update. There are grants that require the plan to be updated within 5 years for them to be eligible for certain programs. But yeah, I would say that the goal would be to have it approved by the October session, I think, is when the first one was approved. That is what I would consider on time. And if it's delayed, then that's understandable.
With the Safe Streets for All funding that we're getting, it seems like it would be a great reason to slow down a little bit and see how we can incorporate planning for that, planning for AIM, not necessarily into one document per se, but see what collaboration, synergy there is in those two processes. Do the timelines remotely line up for that? Or are we so far away from the Safe Streets for All?
Safe Streets for All grant timeline, correct me if I'm wrong, Cheryl, I think we had it set up to dole out our payments over the next 2 years. So roughly 60% of it would be in 2024. And then the other remaining bit would be in 2025.
Okay.
I think it was actually 2023 and 2024, which means it'll have to all really be spent in 2024 because of how the federal government doles out money.
So even then, not ideal necessarily to slow us down over.
I mean, Yeah, the thing is like our plan has almost everything you would need to be eligible for. Like a lot of people use their master plans to do that. The thing that we were missing was a systemic safety analysis. So if we had like a high injury network or what Cheryl's working on with the local road safety plan that looks at the system as a whole, like we could hypothetically, if that got approved within a certain amount of time, even with, I don't even know if a high injury network would need to be approved by mayor and commission. That's just a study. That is something that would then make us eligible to go ahead and start applying for the implementation grants. Now, the question there is, we did receive the planning grant, so, you know, is the expectation that we will not apply for implementation until the plan is done? What I've heard, not necessarily, like, we have 5 years guaranteed funding, now there's 4 more years. Each year is $1 billion. So, excuse me, this first one was 40% of all projects that were funded went towards action planning grants, which we're a recipient of that. So they may change their weighting around a bit to say, okay, we've funded that many, maybe we do, 30% action planning and 70 can go towards implementation. So we have some bigger conversations about grants kind of coming in from that we're going to be having at the organization level.
Okay.
So I don't know what exact things have been fully decided on, so I can't, some of it's just ideas at this point, so can't really talk about it right now, but I think the big question is, going back to your original next question, I think it would be prudent to go ahead and move forward with the Athens in Motion plan
Okay,
as a separate
that
document.
makes sense, given the timing, on Safe Streets for All. Yeah, thanks.
But that's a good question, because Commissioner Hull brought up at the last meeting that Teresa and I were in when we did our budget presentation, if we would be working with the transit development plan update. And I haven't had a chance to look at their timeline to factor in to consider whether we'll be able to factor in anything from that. I know that today is the deadline for public input on theirs. So any thoughts on that, Daniel, Sherelle? Or just something to look into, come back to?
I think those TDPs are like on a required update schedule.
Yeah, they are.
Unlike
That is correct.
And so.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like we just did this like last year, but it's not.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's nice to coordinate on something like that. But
Maybe we'll see what we can get a hold of as we're putting our draft together. And it may not be a final version, but perhaps it will, or at least we'll be able to use some of that.
I guess from my perspective, part of my reason for asking is that I have not had time to go through and comment. Sounds like you're also in a similar position. And
Yeah, I have some overarching ideas, which I think we're not closing the
right,
comment on the plan for any of us. It's just at some point, we're gonna start working on the text. And so maybe now is a good time to segue into what the plan update consists of.
You want to vote on the agenda in minutes real quick?
I'm gonna do it at the end. I put a little note for me, Bob, further down the agenda. Thank you, Daniel. So the plan update we do have the InDesign files, and I was kind of wondering about that, like whether we were building something from scratch. And for anyone, who is watching online or is wondering, this is the Athens in Motion plan with all the appendices. That was, the final report was accepted in August 2018 in the commission. The Athens in Motion Commission has been seated since 2019. So we're talking about updating the project prioritization order based with data and public input. We're going to reopen the map, right? And along with that, we will have some text updates, potential updates to goals. And there's a couple of things that I want to insert in here that I feel like are absent, that might help with maybe educating the people who will carry the plan forward. Because it's a living document. What else, Daniel? Did I miss anything?
I was trying to open it. No, that covers it.
So so ideally we would have presentations for the mayor and commission in the fall. We would be wrapping up the plan in the summer. And we would do public input and engagement before we have a final draft or after we have a final draft.
I think that's a conversation to have maybe right now. There's a lot of opportunities for public engagement. I'm pulling up our wiki map that we received. So we'll be able to look at that here in a second. I think it makes sense that there would kind of be some questions about our, goals. And the question is, do you want to, so the wiki map is one thing, right? We're basically, people can go in and they can say, this is a barrier, this is a really cool spot to go. I don't feel safe walking or biking here. I really like biking, walking this route. The positive, negative comments, line and point types of comments. And then people can usually comment on those other ones, so you can actually get things stacking up where, there's probably going to be one that gets drawn on Prince Avenue, and you're going to get people saying, we love this, and you're going to get people saying, this is terrible.
Right.
So like that is one element of the public engagement. That's for the network itself. But then there's kind of the larger picture of the public engagement for Athens in Motion, the goals and the strategies, and that kind of short-term plan versus long-term. So the question is, do you guys want to look through your goals and make adjustments, and then we bring that to the public and say, okay, here were our goals and here's how they have shifted. Here were our short-term goals then, here are our new short-term goals, and here's what we've accomplished. How do you want to go about getting this information? Is this more of an information thing for people, or are you wanting to say, hey, here are our old goals and we want your help in coming up with our new goals?
So I've been a planner for 20 years. I think there's a way for us to think about this that can lead us to an answer. Are we considering this a partial update, as every five years on, we'll do a partial update, and then on a 10-year cycle, it's like a full, this is a complete revisit of the AIM plan. Or is it every 5 years? Is it a complete revision of the AIM plan? And I think that's our goal, right? Obviously, if it's a partial update, we can be lighter on public comment.
Well, I would see it as a partial update. I mean, given the progress we've made on it so far. And truthfully, I don't see it being a review is going to come out with some radical change to the existing plan.
Right.
So I would consider that a partial.
Our goals may adjust a little bit, but they're good goals. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I
I think the
Make a lot
input
of
on the
sense.
map is very important, that people are pointing out that something that maybe was missed, but.
But I think one thing that we can do is talk about how we have now got the Vision Zero element. And that is an important goal, bringing the number of crash deaths to zero, and some way of just kind of restating the goals so that safety is just understood rather than implied.
And I think that's exactly in keeping with what we would call a partial update, is you're reevaluating existing conditions and updating based on what's happened over the last 5 years, but you're still giving people to look at the nuts and bolts like this from a public input standpoint, without looking at the overarching structure, the spirit of the plan itself, right?
Yeah.
So then public engagement might look like reopening the wiki map, showing what our goals are and if we have any changes to those or adjustments, or maybe being more specific. Something about this plan is it uses, at the time, it used income as a proxy for race and doesn't explicitly mention race in it. So we can look at what is the language around that and what's the data we have about that. I would love to incorporate that and be explicit.
The data are out there. It's really easy to find.
Right, because we can't make things better if we can't acknowledge, we don't have the language to acknowledge the problem. And then, so talking about the goals, maybe being more specific, talking about progress. And that would include, like, we have the Vision Zero coordinator, we have the Vision Zero resolution, we have an updated complete streets policy. I would also like a little bit more language on the projects that are the top of the top priority. So, and it, not just referring folks to a table, but maybe having something that future members of this commission and our elected officials and the public can look back on and be like, you know, why is this project up there at the top? So that's a little bit different. And then maybe some more, almost kind of like executive summaries, but fine-tuned to an audience. Like I want like an executive summary type thing for elected officials, for people who are engaged, for the general public, something like that. So do we want to have all that ready to go, like if we have public engagement sessions in person? Or do we want to, like open up the wiki map first, have that, and then when we have a more finalized version of the plan, have public engagement?
I think we can very easily justify doing some work on the goals internally and then presenting them for comment. If we're going to revisit them 5 years from now as a whole thing, right? Like as a complete refresh. I think it's gone. I think the map could go out whenever we want it to go out.
Okay.
It's so different than the rest of the content that we're talking about presenting. Lauren, I really liked that idea to look at those highest priority projects, and if we don't want to call it a concept, prepare like a vision for each of those, to have it vetted through the mayor and commission already before they realize, you know, that we've gotten so far along with Barber Street and now it hangs in the balance of one or two votes. And I think that it is yet another way for us to show a historical record of this being what the project is probably going to look like, at least in our view. Is that what you had in mind? Is that what you're talking about? Like fleshing out just in a little bit more detail some of those projects?
Yeah, something like that, that maybe doesn't lock in our
Right.
future elected officials, but helps them understand where we've come from,
Right.
why these were chosen, and that there was some buy-in.
Yeah, I think the why is really important because so that's communicated, as you say, because there people are always changing. So
Right.
it's just be able to step back and say, okay, here's why 5 years ago we thought this was important.
Right, yeah, yeah, thanks for that
Yeah.
note. I mean, this plan, like many of our plans in Athens-Clarke County, is a collaboration, not just with the people who are here today, but the people who were here before and the people who will succeed us. And we want to avoid reinventing the wheel. That takes a lot of resources. Okay, so it sounds like we can have some initial thoughts, maybe share some goals with an initial round of public input. And maybe what we do is as that comes in, we'll put together a draft of the plan or start putting it together and decide like how much, you know, engagement we want to do after that. I think, and this all needs to be fleshed out, I think, in committees. Unfortunately, we're just not going to have the time to do that here. But I really want to have enough of this timeline fleshed out so we can give our elected officials a heads up, so we can collaborate with them on these public input sessions and make sure that the counties, the corners of the county are covered. that they feel vested, that this is their plan
Well,
too.
we'd like them to share that. To say,
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
know, constituents, here's a chance to weigh in.
Yeah, I think it could be really valuable to do like, you know how like some of the commissioners have like a town hall style meeting like we went to last night. Like seeing that format, I was like, I want just like one of these. It can't be a town hall, right? That would be defeating the purpose. But you know, a public engagement meeting of the same kind of format, which is, you know, one in each, you know, district. And we could have a line of computers or laptops or tablets set up where people could plug in information into the wiki map. We could do, we could have physical maps, you know, that are blown up, and we could have zoomed in portions. We could break down into different areas of goals, you know, mapping, projects, those kind of things, prioritization even. So you could do all these different types of areas that people could kind of come and engage, and, you know, we would highly encourage each commissioner to be at their district session so that they could be a part of that. Because I think the most important aspect of any of this, like this whole plan was put together by a committee that did a fantastic job, and, you know, they built it on the back of others, and this is our first time as a commission to really make it ours. And it's the first time having a bike ped coordinator while this plan is being worked
Right.
on. And a Vision Zero coordinator. Like a lot has happened in the last 5 years, so.
So we only have a couple more minutes in this meeting to discuss. And Daniel, I know that you had the idea that parts of this could be broken out to our committees. I don't know if we're really at that point yet, but I feel like there still needs to be some planning. So do we need to have an ad hoc committee, a committee to plan the work for the committee?
Yeah, we need something.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Some kind of work group or whatever we want to call it.
okay.
Planning committee, planning committee.
Committee to plan the planning. I mean, that's why we're on this commission, right? Because we like meeting. That's-
Well, and it would be nice to have those defined expectations and goals to go into the committee so that we know for sure, you know, what,
Oh, we're supposed to do.
yeah, the output is, the expected output.
Okay. I want to make sure, because we do have some folks online. Mark, do you have thoughts that you want to share about our plan revision process?
No, I mean, I think this is a partial update just by definition, since we're really working off the existing plan. And, you know, I do think it would be better for the public to have something to reflect on, you know, so that we are saying, here are our updated goals. What do you think? Rather than leaving it wide open. I'm not sure we would get as useful input if it's just kind of all over the map.
That is a great point, Mark, and I appreciate that. I think some directed questions are really helpful. So we're going to form an ad hoc committee to discuss next steps. And that could be delegating to our standing committees.
I know a lot of you guys work full-time also. So what time, do we want to go and pick out a time right now for the first meeting?
Yeah. I wanna, if some of y'all are ready, or if who would like to serve on the ad hoc committee for our plan revision? Really important.
I'll do it.
Okay, so we have John, Teresa, Lauren.
I could definitely do it. I've been working already on the prioritization criteria and updating those.
John, Teresa, Lauren, Mark.
I'll participate.
Yay.
What we could do, we'll send out something to the commission as a whole, because there's a few people who aren't here.
Right.
So, and I think what would help also a lot is, you know, one of the first couple meetings could literally be laying out the meeting schedule and what the topics will be discussed, so that if someone wants to look at the specific new projects or they want to look at criteria, they can attend that meeting, put that on their calendar in advance. So we can go ahead and we can basically set up
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We will do that.
agenda of agendas.
So let's go ahead and put our first meeting on the calendar. Yeah, honestly, like 5 o'clock would work best for me, and I cannot do Mondays well, I could do Thursday for a little bit of 5. But I don't have the full time. Y'all want to do,
I may be in the minority because I can count this as work hours, but for me, during the day works way better because of home stuff happening after 5.
I can do whatever.
I'm flexible.
Not Mondays during the day, otherwise okay. But it'll change.
I can make it work.
yeah, I've got a day job. And I can be flexible, but I'll just get meetings scheduled over our time is the problem. It's before 5. It's the issue. We don't have to be at the next mayor and commission voting meeting next week, right?
I believe, Sherelle, is that the neighborhood traffic management? Oh,
No, not, I think we're moving that to the April, May.
okay.
But also, I don't think Athens in Motion necessarily needs to be there for that because most likely it's going to go to, we think there should be a committee on this.
Ronnie, do we have any upcoming agendas that Athens in Motion needs to be there for?
Not that I can recall at this point, no.
No.
Okay, so some proposed days, times next Tuesday, 7th at 5 or Wednesday, the 8th at 5.
So Tuesday works better than Wednesday.
Tuesday's good.
Tuesday's good.
Are we talking about virtually?
We have to figure that out.
It'll be a mandatory in-person meeting. It'll be open to the public. But I don't know that there's a quorum that needs to be met because it's not a full commission thing. And as long as all of the things that we cover in our public meetings here, as long as the quorum is there for that, I think that's what's important. So any work that's done there, we can just have an update that talks about the things that we've been doing.
So you're saying that it can be remote? I'm confused by what you just said.
No. But I'll get information. I'll get information and let y'all know.
Did we just put enough people on this committee that it's gonna trigger a quorum? How many did we put on?
I'll get information.
4?
I mean, it's a working group, right? So
Yeah.
it's,
If you need to boot me off it, that's fine too.
I don't think it's that official. But I'll talk with our attorney's office and see. I want to make sure that we're doing it all above board, so.
Right. All right, so please mark Tuesday the 7th at 5 PM and we'll figure out if we need to find a meeting location, if it needs to be public, or if we can report back. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Yeah, maybe start looking ahead to your calendars for times you can meet as we're thinking about a cadence. I think that this is gonna take a lot of time, y'all.
It will.
Yeah, but it's who we are.
It's who we are. It is.
It's the plan.
I love doing stuff like this.
Okay. Yeah, and maybe our names will be on it. That'd be great. And then, you know, when we go to future commissioners, we can, instead of saying like, I didn't write this plan, we can be like, well, yeah, I helped write this plan. So my name is on it. All right, moving on to our next couple of items, running a little bit behind. At 5 p.m., we'll move on to staff updates. Two things. I'm actually going to move, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to move this raise grant proposal chat to top, just so Sherelle can submit this grant. Sherelle, do you want to briefly tell us what we're going for this time?
Yeah, so this is a planning grant for Hawthorne and Oglethorpe. So Hawthorne from like right in front of Alpsford Elementary all the way up to the Loop. And then Oglethorpe all the way from Prince Avenue to Mitchell Bridge. And it's a planning grant. So it's to be able to like conduct like concept and community feedback and engagement and like kind of do all of the like environmental impact assessment and all of that. And hopefully be able to figure out how to get bike lanes and adequate pedestrian infrastructure and some traffic calming and all of that.
Great. And how much is it for again, Sherelle?
For 1 million.
So this is very small, but will have a big impact. So I did kind of, this is the kind of thing where I think that I have been sort of writing on behalf of the commission in the past, but I would love to have these things go through a little bit more of a formal process and have all of our names on it. That's why I'm asking for a vote today, because I realize how important and how meaningful the RAISE program could be, since we got 25 million from North Avenue for last year. And that ain't nothing. That's like the largest grant that ACC has ever received. So I take it very seriously. And I want to show the people who are looking at this application that we're all behind this. So I do have a little recommendation letter. That's not it. And Sherelle, I think I used a similar format to the Reconnecting Communities grant. So if anything is wrong, please let me know.
I'm sure it's fine.
Okay. So the TLDR, Hawthorne, Oglethorpe intersect, Nucket. There's not adequate facilities and infrastructure. In particular, Census Tract 9 has just some highlights from Sherelle's summary. Like about 25% of the people in Census Tract 9 use alternative transportation to get to work. And with Hawthorne, on one side, we have those dotted lines, which are not really bike lanes. Hawthorne was 3-laned back in the day, not for the bike lanes, but to reduce side impact crashes, which it has done by 50%. So that was successful. However, there wasn't enough roadway to do true bike lanes. So it was kind of an afterthought. Then on the other side of Hawthorne, past Oglethorpe, of course, there's no facilities at all, even though there's a grocery store, there's a Bell's, which I think a lot of older folks in the community shop at. And then there's our big park, Bishop Park, the YMCA, there's a lot of medical facilities. Oglethorpe Avenue intersects Hawthorne, but as we've talked about in the past, the bike lanes kind of disappear. So you're in the middle of a very dangerous intersection. Any other things you want to highlight, Sherelle, before we do a motion?
I don't think so. I think most of y'all have had an opportunity to see the grant proposal, but I'm happy to send it to anyone who wants to see it.
Sherelle, this differs from the Reconnecting Communities application, or no?
It differs slightly. We didn't get the Reconnecting Community one.
Okay.
But the raised one is Hawthorne and Oglethorpe, and the Reconnecting Community one was just Hawthorne.
Okay, great, thanks.
And just a procedural thing, I know that we've done this somewhat in the past, but I would love for grant letters to go through grants and data first, if at all possible, if there's any time for that, and then have them write a letter or, seek help writing a letter that gets brought forth to the full commission, if at all possible, going forward. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve this letter for the RAISE planning grant for 2023 for Hawthorne and Oglethorpe Avenue.
So moved.
Got a first from John.
Second.
Well, you can have the second.
Okay, second
Thank
from
you.
Randy. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, thank you. And Sherelle, thank you for your hard work on that. And thanks for, we don't always get, I know we're getting a lot of our grants, but people don't see the behind the scenes work or how often like we might have to go back and do it again and apply for other grants. And we appreciate the work that y'all have done. And I know it's also on top of all your day job duties and that you have to prioritize some other things now, but we're very grateful to you. This money that you're bringing into our community.
Quick question, how long do you want these planning revision meetings to be? From 5 until?
Well, let's start with an hour.
Okay.
Let's keep us quick, because I do understand it's kind of late and it's another meeting. Next item, we have 7 minutes until 5 o'clock, so this is going to be kind of quick. I want to talk about Barber Street and where we are with that. So Barber Street is our first started off as bike project in the Athens Motion Plan. Transportation and Public Works, Daniel and Sherelle conducted some walk audits with commissioners in February. Which commissioners were out with y'all? Do you remember? This Commissioner Culpepper.
I believe in the morning, it was Commissioner Thornton and
Right.
Wright.
And Wright.
In the afternoon was Commissioner Myers, Commissioner Culpepper, and Commissioner Houle.
Wonderful, great. Well, thank y'all for conducting those walk audits. This was up for a vote in February and it has been tabled. And so the commission wants a little bit more time to talk about it. And of course, some of our commissioners are new and they're getting accustomed to all the various plans. And I know they had to look at the comprehensive plan. I think that's a 300-page document. So I want to just underscore our role as an advisory commission according to our bylaws and our charter. And we exist to advise and provide recommendations, which we have done with this Barber Street project. And we did so in 2021, and we did so again earlier this year. And staff has gone as far as they can with this until the commission approves concepts, in which once concepts are approved, then staff can move forward with preliminary design, engineering. I'm going to get my phrasing wrong. But so I want to underscore for like any commissioners who are watching this, who are part of the Marin Commission, that we are here to collaborate, to educate, to be a partner with them in implementing this government plan that was passed like by the people who came before us. I believe Mayor Denson was mayor at the time when the Athens in Motion plan was accepted, and then Mayor Gertz was seated when the commission came into fruition, Athens in Motion Commission. So it is a collaborative document. We can talk to commissioners. So I'm fine if, and I know Teresa has been doing some outreach, and I'm reaching out to commissioners as well to see what we can help with, and as far as their understanding of the plan goes. Just make sure that you're speaking as an Athens in Motion commissioner and not on behalf of the Athens in Motion Commission, because that should come from one place. And at this point, the commission has heard from staff and consultants and us on it. I don't know if they've heard from the public about Barber Street besides the tremendous amount of public input that staff collected, which they can't collect anymore until we move forward. So I just want to maybe just underscore what our role is. We are an official board authority and commission. We are supposed to provide a recommendation. We have provided that recommendation. So we are fulfilling our role. Teresa, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I just feel like, if we have a relationship with our commissioner, and reach out and just, answer questions that they might have about Barber Street or about AIM, I think it would be useful.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, to this day, people who have been on the commission for years still don't know exactly what we do.
Because we're still a young commission.
Yes.
Of course, alternative transportation, like this commission, I think we're the only freestanding, I think we're the only permanent bike pedestrian commission in the state, is what I had been told before. Our origins are in grassroots alternative transportation advocacy, but we're not here to be activists. We're here to implement a plan that was voted and agreed upon by our elected officials. And we are filling that role.
Lauren, can you provide some context as to where this is coming from? I was traveling all last week and I'm having a hard time
Of course.
reading between the lines.
Yeah, so we have had some folks reach out and wondering like how they can help. In particular with Barber Street, because I think that some people had thought that this would be approved in February and they're eager to see the concept move forward. So our response to that would be, we're happy to give you information on the project and where it stands in the plan. And they can take that and consult and reach out to their commissioner with that information if they would like. And show up to commission meetings or try and sit down, but we have fulfilled our role and have taken as far as we can at this point. Does that answer your question?
Well, not really. I'm just curious as to where it's coming from. Is it somewhere within the ACC government?
No.
It's just residents have been kind of reaching out to say like, hey, like Athens in Motion, y'all, we need to get this done, and we need to push this through and put pressure. And so it's just kind of, it's not necessarily, Athens in Motion doesn't necessarily want to, my reading of the between the lines is Athens in Motion doesn't want to take that stance of pushing against the commissioners, the current mayor and commission. They're more like, we've provided a recommendation. Like the role is not so much that kind of fighting for things like, previously there's a lot of activism that had to be done in terms of like the roots of Athens in Motion. And we've gotten this far and now we're part of the conversation. And so just to, I think, so
I mean, there've been some suggestions that we commissioners should continue to go to the mayor and commission meetings and advocate for it. We've done our job. And so, advocacy should come from the grassroots. If there are people out there that want to see this happen, then they need to show up to the mayor and commission meetings and let them know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and some of us, if you serve in another capacity or want to as an individual, of course, you're welcome to reach out to the commission or, as an individual, just, the role of Athens in Motion is, as Teresa said, like to advise, and we, want to make ourselves available to our elected officials. That's our role to play.
So in what way is it not advising them to show up at the meeting and make a comment saying, hey, we have come to this conclusion, and we want to remind you that we think that this is the best usage of this road.
That certainly can happen, like, you all could authorize the chair to do that, but at this point, I want them to continue to listen to us when we show up at these commission meetings. And we have been at 3 so far this year. And so I think that we have made our recommendation, at least via the podium format. And now we're reaching out via email to see like if we can connect with them one-on-one and provide any additional information, because there's only so much you can say at a podium.
Okay.
Yeah, and to that end, I do want to call out the document that Teresa has made, which I've linked in the agenda, which provides a great overview of the project, where we stand. If you all are thinking about reaching out to your commissioners, will you let us know? Because I know Teresa has set up some meetings. I've tried to set up some meetings, and so I just want to keep track of that.
I wish I could meet with my commissioner, but I don't have one.
Yes. Any other questions about that? And you know, to those of you who are like new on the commission, we did have kind of early on, we had the mayor come by when we were first meeting before COVID and talk about our role, and that was pretty helpful. So, you know, again, keeping in mind that we're here to partner with the commission to implement the bike and pedestrian master plan, which we will implement. Yes. Yeah, Teresa, thank you for making that document. Appreciate that. Oh, I did not cut myself off like I said I would. Oops. Okay, but that's okay. So staff, you have 3 less minutes to give your update. So it's 5:03 and your update lasts until 5:30 before we go into some additional items and improving the minutes and agenda. So with that, let's see, is Todd not here?
No, he's here.
Okay, sorry, I can't. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. We had minimized the screen. So Todd, are you ready to give your updates?
Yeah, I can be quick.
Yeah, you're fine.
All right. Has the screen, you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So basically the bridge over Trail Creek, it looks like we're anticipating March 31st ribbon cutting at 4 p.m. They're working on the decking now. I went out there today and took a picture of this bottom picture, and you can see the decking is all the way out basically to Trail Creek area, and that's where we're building the overlook. So that one's a little more complicated, and they're putting the timber, the bents on the caps on top of the bents, which are the wooden structures. We should be seeing some handrail going up soon on that one, and it'll be looking pretty close to being done soon. So, and then Greenway Trail, the Cars Creek segment down at off Barnett Shoals. We had our pre-construction meeting last week on this one, and the contractor should start putting up some silk fencing and other things. You should start seeing some of that stuff going up real soon. We're going to put our signs on the Greenway Trail because, you know, there will have to be some truck access along the Greenway. They've yet to determine how they're going to get the concrete trucks in to pour the trail because, you know, we got creeks here and then a little small creek up here that we're crossing. So we're working on that, getting that plan figured out. And we will put up our little signs that says, you know, be cautious, potential construction traffic on trail. So, and everything. And then the Firefly 3, they're still working on the getting the easements and that kind of stuff. So we're waiting on that, but I know we've got fingers crossed that maybe sometime this summer construction could start on that. So.
But one quick question / comment on phase 3 on the Firefly Trail. I mean, I know, I don't know where we are easement wise, but there probably still is going to be a challenge at the last little segment going into Winterville.
Correct.
And-
They're working with those two or three heavily impacted homeowners.
Yeah. But I believe you had previously given an update that we have the right of ways up to Rannick Road.
Yes.
And I wondered, has there been any consideration of maybe starting that section
Yeah,
and at least
I think
get? Oh,
That's a question for Sploss and Derek. I think Derek's
okay,
main approach is he would rather, where he has the most friction, he would prefer to start there and build out rather than let it, if he somehow runs out of money, he would prefer not to run out of money behind the properties where he's having the hardest time getting easements. But that's more, I may be putting words in his mouth, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting is how he wants to approach this.
yeah, so I was just thinking, go from Rannick Road to the existing Firefly Trail. And then, because I'm just afraid there'll be litigation and.
Yeah, no, they're close as far as I can tell. They came to us and asked us would there be a minimum width that we would accept and on a trail and things like that, and so we've been just kind of in negotiations with those. Basically, it's 3 property owners in that subdivision. So, but Derek's confident that he's gonna get those easements.
What is your minimum width of trail versus trail easement?
The what, Daniel? Because what they literally were wanting was like a 5-foot trail. It to squeeze all the way down to 5 foot or something, and we were like, no, that's
We could reduce the trail easement by 5 feet and do like a 20-foot instead of a 25-foot. So like,
it's not the easement. It's not the easements. It's whether you're taking a building out or not is what they're negotiating. Because Mr. One of the guys, I'm forgetting his name. He, it impacts his building, the
Right.
trail.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing that we're dealing with, Mr. Butts.
which it will be dealt with. We don't have to worry about it, at least on the commission.
Well, some of us worry about it.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's
They're not right on Athens Road.
Oh, yeah, you're worried about it. in the
Any of us
sense-
from Winterville.
Yeah, you're worried about in the sense of having optimal trail to ride,
Right.
safe trail.
Yeah, or any trail. I don't care if it's a foot wide, if I can get my bicycle.
Well, I need it to be more than a foot wide. 'cause
Yeah.
My hips are wider than a foot, but, and my.
But from a maintenance perspective, getting all the way down to a 5-foot trail was too
Sure.
much of a bottleneck for us.
Yeah, no, you're right, you're right.
Emergency vehicles and stuff like that.
Sure.
Todd, can I ask a quick question or maybe make a request? It's John. I don't know if you can even see me over here in the corner, but you talked about trucks accessing the construction site. What can we do to keep the greenway open 100% of the time that the project is under construction? That's a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer that, but
It's gonna be like East Campus, basically. Remember when East Campus Bridge was built and they had to come in off the loop, and so it was just intermittent. Here comes a concrete truck. You're go with a flagger, and you're just gonna have to step aside and let the concrete truck come through.
okay, so it's not going to be closed. It'll just be like you can't access it for a minute.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll literally just be when a concrete truck is coming.
Perfect. Great.
Would be the timing.
To go just a little bit in a different direction, but the same topic. I can't I can't tell you how many times I'm on the Greenway on my bike. And it's really easy for me to get off the Greenway onto the grass and ride around a leisure services or essential services truck parked on the Greenway. But it's not really easy for everybody to do that. And if you can convey to both of those units that their vehicles should be parked in a way that maintains trail accessibility, that would just be so fantastic.
Yeah, I will remind them. And all.
Thank you so much.
If they do, but just a quickie, if you can see my cursor, basically the one logical spot for those concrete trucks to come in is on Carriage Lane. And then there is some kind of little sewer easement that goes down onto this property here
Yep.
and then connects. And so that's probably more than likely the route that will be going. So it's only gonna be I would think it's probably gonna be a small percentage of the trail that would have that, unless they decide to come in on Bailey or something, I'd be surprised if they came in via North Dakota access road, but, we leave it open to the contractor. So at this point to bring it
I
to
think the only thing to mention there is that people rely on these facilities as transportation, and if we could provide the same degree of public notice of any actual closures that we would for a road closure, it's really important. Especially that it takes me that much longer to turn around and get somewhere else on my bike than it does somebody in a car if they need to turn around and go somewhere else and choose a different route.
I know the signage that was in place on the Trail Creek crossing when it was under construction, I think that was put up pretty far in advance and it included a detour. So that has been helpful.
Yep.
And
Sure.
so that's, if we can keep doing that sort of thing, that would be good. But I'm gonna have to ask us to move on. Todd's presentation was the fun part. No offense to Daniel and Sherelle, their stuff's fun too. But it's kind of like, easy off, road trail through the woods. Nice.
Lauren, that's such a lie. Our stuff is not as fun as Todd's and never will be.
No, it's good. It's just harder, right? It's retrofitting. It's harder. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm gonna share my
trying to
agenda.
figure out how to unshare, but you may have to steal it from me.
Okay, yes, I believe I'm sharing now.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Todd. And so we have 16 minutes for the general TPW update, and I have this on the agenda in order of importance, so we'll probably won't get to the bottom stuff. But I want to start with Sherelle's local road safety plan workshop, which is March 30th. Sherelle, can you tell us about that and what is going to happen at the workshop and what you're hoping for as far as like AIM participation goes?
Yeah, so the local road safety workshop, we held the first round, which was internal stakeholders. So people from leisure services and PD and housing and community development and kind of all the internal people and got their feedback. And now we are hoping to get feedback from community members, mayor and commission, people who are running nonprofits, people who are involved in local advocacy efforts, and get kind of input from a diverse group of stakeholders on things we can do to address some of our local road challenges. And then we'll compile all of the information that we gather and create a local road safety plan out of it. And then hopefully bring that back to everyone and maybe use some of our Safe Streets for All funding to be able to fund a few initiatives that we decide on as a group. So not just like kind of a plan that sits on a shelf somewhere, but really a plan that has some teeth to it and can be implemented. And, the more people who are in the room who really have a deep understanding of safety, especially people who ride their bikes and walk places and are part of those more vulnerable road user groups, I think that's really important because there's going to be a lot of people at the table who don't have as complex an understanding as the Athens in Motion commissioners do. So for me, it's something that would be really valuable. Lauren, I did move the date to a time when Ronnie could come, so you don't have to facilitate it anymore because I know that was a little bit of a stressful ask. But hopefully, because it's after work, it will be easier for more people to come who can't necessarily do it as part of their day jobs.
Is it still at 4 o'clock on the 30th?
Yeah, that's the new time.
Okay, it's the same time as the bridge ribbon cutting, just to,
No, I thought the bridge ribbon cutting was the 31st.
did I put the wrong day? Cool, perfect. Yes.
So much going on that
I
week.
was so sad. Cool.
Know about the bridge ribbon cutting? What is that?
That's the one that Todd just announced with the new bridge that's being built in Dudley Park.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so ideally, it would be great to have other Athens in Motion commissioners present if they are available.
Yeah, so as many, I mean, I know I've talked to Scott and John about coming in their roles as bike advocates, and hopefully they'll be able to come. But definitely the more people that we can, and ideally, you know, we'd have an Athens, we'll have four kind of working groups, and ideally we'll be able to have an Athens commissioner at each of those tables, providing input and, you know, being able to talk about why bike lanes help traffic safety and why sidewalk gaps are important, or all the things that you guys care about, you can bring to that table. I think people often, they go straight to enforcement and education as the answers to all traffic safety problems. But data would really show that infrastructure is really the most effective solution to traffic safety problems and crashes. So having people at the table who have a deep understanding of that is going to be something that's really important.
Great, Sherelle. I will be there. Marked it off. I can be there. Teresa says she will be there, and we'll put it out to the rest of the commission too.
You want me to send it as just a placeholder? I can forward that to the commission?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that all right,
Okay,
Cheryl?
I already have, but you're welcome to send it again.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry if you have. Maybe I just accepted. I accepted.
Did everyone in Athens in Motion listserv receive that? Cool. Never mind.
Maybe I just have not accepted. I'm sorry, Cheryl.
No, that's totally fine. I just
my
don't want people
calendar.
to bombard people with emails.
I love to bombard people with emails,
Yay.
as many of you have found out today.
Daniel has like 5,000 unread emails, so.
No, I got it down below 100, so, but now everyone else has unread email.
Yeah, now we have 100.
I got like 10 emails from you today.
All right. Thank you, Sherelle. Looking forward to that. Okay, moving on to the next item I have on the agenda. If we could do this really as briefly as possible and try not to get in the weeds, but I know Randy had brought this up, that some of our road closures due to failing culverts is directing cars on the roads that we're using to bike on. So so we were just wondering, like, what's the status of that? Not to put pressure on Transportation Public Works, but like, what are the next steps with Olympic Drive being closed, Charlie Bolton? What's the other one?
The next segment.
I'm waiting for you guys to, yeah, Charlie Bolton, Olympic Drive, and
Oh.
Willow Road. Sorry,
Yeah.
three
He was just
closed
waiting.
roads.
You're just waiting.
And Boyles.
Boys.
Yeah. And for some reason, Charlie Bolton is not shown on Google Map, but it is closed. So our in-house crews are working on Voiles Road.
Okay.
We do anticipate reopening hopefully within 30 days.
Okay, that's great.
Hopefully, again, we were coordinating with a paving contractor to see when they can do the paving portion. That would be the last part of it. The other two projects are large and beyond our in-house ability to reconstruct. Both of these projects were bid out, and we've received bids, and we are in the award phase. We've issued one notice to proceed for Charlie Bolton. Olympic Drive will follow in the next, hopefully, week. We anticipate construction time between 2 to 3 months, and hopefully we can reopen these two roads within 2 months, like I said, 2 to 3 months. But that's the schedule we have, and yeah, please be safe out there, driving and riding and walking.
Did I answer your question?
Unfortunately, yes.
But it sounds like everything will be pretty done by spring. I mean, this is just another example of like infrastructure you don't appreciate until it breaks.
Right.
And so it sounds like y'all have been able to get the bids out pretty quickly, and it takes the time it takes. So thank you, Ronnie, and thank you for being here for that update.
No problem. Thank you.
And I'm just gonna say on the record that having projects like Barber and other big capital projects don't slow us down from doing this type of stuff. So if that ever does come up in conversations with commissioners or residents, that they're like, well, why are we spending time and money trying to push these things through while we have roads that are just washed out? Know that we are also fixing the washed out roads.
It's a separate bucket of funds.
Yes, and, separate batch of staff
And
and,
resources, yeah.
resources. I mean, Ronnie gets to do all of it, but that's,
Yeah.
he enjoys it.
I think before I was on this commission, I kind of imagined that transportation was just all one big department or just like a couple people. I didn't realize how nuanced and complicated it was for sure.
Yeah.
All right, thanks again, Ronnie. And then, so we have about 6 minutes, and Mark had submitted a question, a really good, interesting one, about how trail crossings interface with, like when they interface with our roads and those crosswalks, and whose responsibility that is to make those things safe. And Sherelle had taken the email and kind of made a nice summary. So, Sherelle, did you want to share just a little bit of what you had in your email real quick, what you had said?
I'm going to be very, very honest. Daniel wrote that email and is much, much better at responding to this than I am.
All right, tag team. I love that. Yeah. And I'm not putting you on the spot. Just, I think it is good to know or understand.
Yeah, so without having it in front of me, because I think it would take too long for me to find it. But essentially, especially in any crosswalk that has been installed, when Leisure Services installs that initially, they always work with traffic engineering to get it to the standard that is requested. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes contractors don't follow through. There's a lot of different things, but we always try to work together to bring our crosswalks up to standard. So part of that with any crosswalk in the county is, to look at what are the, like we get requests from residents all the time about, hey, my sign is missing from my street. Hey, the signal doesn't seem to be acting right. It goes into that batch. So if there's ever specific spots, I think there's 4 locations that was outlined. Those are locations that we can send those along to our traffic engineering team, 6. I know one of them, for instance, was right there at Mama's Boy, where the Greenway crosses the street there. And since we were actually working on it, because I had gotten a separate request from someone else to put in leading pedestrian interval there. So now there's leading LPI There's LPI at that intersection now.
Is it leading pedestrian interval or pedestrian leading interval? Because I always say pedestrian leading.
I've heard leading pedestrian interval and advanced pedestrian interval. I think leading is the one that I've seen more often. So I think as you pointed out, people sometimes don't always follow that. I think it takes people a little bit of time to realize, actually, you just ran a red light. They're looking at the cross traffic, they see that it has turned red, and they assume that they're about to get a green light as well. Or they're looking at those ped heads and they're looking at the countdown timer and they're saying, as soon as that turns white, I can go. And they're not looking at their signal. So if they are going when the ped head turns to walk, that's still them breaking the law and running a red light. And they'll be pulled over for that. But our infrastructure can't really stop that from happening necessarily. Now, all that to say, yeah. With some of the requests, I think some of the locations were more at like driveway crossings, and those are primarily within leisure services. And so those are things that we can work with them on. But
I'm sorry, what was a driveway crossing? I don't recall any.
I don't recall the exact areas. I'm just thinking of all the possibilities.
I was talking about the Firefly by the racetrack, that crossing Oak Street near the loop, where you go, if you're going from the Firefly to the Greenway, some of those places.
Right, thank you.
So it
There were no
sounds like,
driveways involved. I'm sure of that.
Okay, cool, thanks.
yeah, so as far as like our role, then what we would do is what Mark has done, where he sent out an email saying like, here are some areas of concern. And then we could work with you and Sherelle on the appropriate person or people to talk to, because sometimes that's leisure services, sometimes it might be traffic engineering. It
Yeah,
might be GDOT.
Yeah, not holding my breath for the GDOT changes.
They're getting to be better. We're trying. They're trying.
Absolutely. Yep.
and I mean, for me, it's easier to take care of one or two at a time. So if I get like 6 in a row, that's going to be a lot bigger ask, and it's a little harder for me to get that in the queue. So, I'm not saying that you did it wrong. I'm just, I can get those through as well. It's just, sometimes it's easier to call in a favor and be like, hey, can you double check the timing of this signal versus
Yeah,
like,
no, I trust you guys to prioritize it and work within your system to the best of your ability. I totally understand that.
yeah.
I just had to get it off my chest. I've been grumbling about those intersections on my multi-weekly bike rides for a year now, so.
Well, and pretty soon, a great platform will be this wiki map, and you can go on there. And I would actually 100% recommend that any locations that you contact me about, we'll go ahead and get started on it. But go ahead and also put it in the wiki map, because those are things that other people see as well. And they'll see those comments and they'll understand, oh, these are things that I can mention and ask for and say. So I'll
Also, I mean, obviously you guys can always send us stuff and we'll take a look at it, but we have processes we have to follow. But one thing that I would encourage you guys to do is to contact like your commissioner when you have those gripes, or the commissioner who is in that district where the road is, because the more that they get contacted about roads, the more funding they will give towards those projects.
Yeah, and there was a town hall last night that we spoke at, Commissioner Hoole's town hall. And they mentioned that, whenever they receive pothole complaints, they used to get a lot of pothole complaints, and then they would always send them over to staff. But they would also mention, hey, this is how you submit that staff. And so they're not receiving nearly as many as they used to, and they're seeing potholes getting fixed all the time. And so, not to say, they essentially were like, I don't want to take credit for the work that staff are doing, and I don't want to slow it down. So there's some things that it's very easy to just contact us directly, like potholes. There's other things that if you feel like we're not really, that you feel like we're just kind of giving the runaround, maybe because of the process that we have to follow, then 100% bring that to the commissioner. And, because that sometimes that is the only way that some of these things get done.
So I'm sorry I didn't do this.
And
I would like to send this email exchange in summary between Mark and Sherelle about some of these intersections to the rest of the commission. Y'all okay with that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't send it out sooner. I'm gonna have to ask that we move on, but I do want to call out the positive change that has been made at the Greenway crossing of Oak Street at Mama's Boy, where there is now a leading pedestrian leave interval. And so what that means is that people can cross, they get the signal to cross ahead of the people driving. And that change was made by traffic engineering, and that is the kind of small change that has tremendous benefits. And now I don't have cars turning into me. And I had gotten to the point where I was trying to do a little dance on the corner, really like away from the crosswalk, because they couldn't see me when I was about to approach the crosswalk going from Mama's Boy. And I know that people coming the opposite way were having issues too. That's where the comment came in. So sometimes we get daunted because our bike ped queue list is so long, but there are small changes like this that can have a major impact. And so I want to thank you guys in Transportation Public Works for all that coordination and reaching out there doing, recognize it does take a significant amount of time, and that it's really meaningful for people. And it was really impactful for me personally. I'm alive.
Yes, we want you to stay that way. Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks to Tim Griffith and all his crew at Traffic Engineering for everything that they're doing on their end, even while we wait for approval to put down some asphalt and thermopaint and some other projects. All right, I know we are over time, so we'll kind of go through this last section quickly. Any updates on the trail lighting conversations?
Nothing major, but some ideas cooking that may involve potential expansion from trail lighting into a broader neighborhood connectivity and neighborhood access and equity application for the future that allows us to build sidewalks, bike lanes, and maybe trails in neighborhoods to connect them to the main trails that we already have, build trailheads. And oh, by the way, as almost an afterthought, get some lighting on the trails.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
Scott and I need to talk more about it, and I need to talk to the Greenway Commission about it, but
Okay.
the people I've spoken to who are elected are supportive in concept of it.
Yeah, I talked to some of the Greenway people when we were at REI a couple weekends ago. They're willing to have conversations. I told them last week during their meeting, basically I was out during COVID or having COVID, but I told them that we're going to be forming some sort of ad hoc group with this body, Firefly, and I would keep them in the loop and ask them questions as needed.
Great. Yeah.
Do we need to vote to designate a representative to an ad hoc group like that?
I don't know if we need to do that.
Speaking of votes, we have to approve the agenda and all that stuff.
Yes, thank you. We'll do that. I don't know if we need to vote to have, do you guys want an official person?
Well, never hurts. Just to know that someone is there officially, but
John, are you on the board of Firefly?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think Tom Keene will be representing Firefly most likely, so that I don't have to.
Hey, I sent that up the chain too of our senior administration. They were receptive to having a discussion too.
Great.
We have some pieces that connect parts of campus.
Yes. I mean, it benefits UGA students the most, really, or almost the most.
Yeah. Okay, if we,
It doesn't matter to me. It's your call as chair.
I mean, I'll show up for that. I just need to know when it is. So. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Okay, thank you. Love that conversation is continuing to roll. I know at the last, again, at that budget hearing meeting that Teresa and I were at, Commissioner Holt talked about having their conversation with the Student Government Association, the University of Georgia. And the transportation issue, I believe that came up the most was actually lighting. So, and I think that we heard that in our experience when we were tabling at UGA Bike Ped Safety Day. So it seems to be really important. And again, it's something else besides asphalt and concrete that we can work on.
I mean, the reality is that if they're not 24 hours, transportation facilities, our greenways and our Firefly Trail at some point around dark become transportation facilities. And if we need to go as far as asking if they're in the wrong department, then that's where it takes us. But I think we need real progress there on lighting urgently.
Great. All right, we're over time for this segment, but I know we have this wonderful spreadsheet about our current transportation projects that we're wondering about updating. And I'm just wondering if policy and projects can work with TPW on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I do love that spreadsheet because it's
Fabulous.
I like an AIM maintained spreadsheet that staff doesn't have to, that we know like what are we involved in, kind of makes us responsible for that. So
I wish I'd had that spreadsheet a week ago when I was trying to make the exact same spreadsheet.
Yeah, we welcome to copy off of us, so we copy off of you.
We built ours now.
All right, we'll have to come back to conversations about NACTO. And Daniel, thank you for submitting the bike-friendly community application. I know that was a huge undertaking, and you'd almost think there was like $25 million attached to that. But
Just a word or two.
right,
Application.
yeah,
Anyway,
thank you.
36 pages officially.
All right, I'm going to share my screen because now that we have a quorum, we do need to approve our agenda and minutes. So this is our agenda that we have been going through today, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda that we have been using.
I'll make the motion to approve.
First from Randy,
Second.
second from John. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And then we also had some minutes, and the main thing that I had done was to provide clarity on in-person versus online attendees, because due to state law, we can't count online attendance towards quorum. So I'm just trying to be a little more clear about that. Any questions?
Just the most like basic of changes, the V in my name is not capitalized.
Noted. Thanks.
It's not of.
Not sure where I got that
It's,
from.
I'm
Stuck with it.
I wish I was nobility, but I'm not.
Good to know. Thank you.
Right, with this correction, I'll entertain a motion to approve our minutes from the January meeting. Okay, Teresa,
Second.
second from Randy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're legal.
I don't think I'm on that agenda, Lauren.
Oh, on the minutes?
Yeah, I don't think it matters, but.
I think that you were away, right? Did I-
Oh, that's last month,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No worries.
You were busy doing your job. I believe.
I think I was doing the local road safety workshop or something.
Yep, and we are grateful to you for doing that. And it's great that we have both you and Daniel now, because y'all can like tag team. So, all right, going.
Just hand everything to Shira.
Yeah, just delegate your
Start in the kitchen for a week.
All right, so a couple more items. I know we're behind. So we did receive a request from a community member who wanted to submit an AARP grant, and that has to come through a government agency. And Daniel, I know you had like that Alan Jones had reached out to you, he said.
Yeah.
And so I am sending it to you all, Mark, and Grants and Data, and you can decide how you want to go about supporting the community in such grants and provide a recommendation. But I know their deadline is coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you, I emailed you earlier today. I don't know if you saw that yet, but it just seemed like they're looking for funding for a single bench. And the grant application is a, bit of work. I'm happy to share what I submitted last year. We submitted one for 9 benches along the
Mhm.
Greenway last year, and that wasn't funded. So,
Right.
I think we always have to think about, is it worth the effort, given
Right.
the amount? We can't do everything. And that seemed like maybe not, maybe they should think more broadly, maybe they should think about 5 benches or, whatever, but just a single bench.
Right. Could you, and I'm fine if you do this as representing the commission, but could you reach out to Alan and provide this experience and this feedback, and maybe y'all can talk
Yeah,
about.
I don't have his email, but if you send it to me, I'll be happy to.
Okay, yeah, I thought I forwarded that to you. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's in there.
And also, yeah, think about like what, again, like how we want to be, how we can be a community partner, but also making sure that we are taking on stuff that is going to be impactful. Thank you for that.
Yep.
All right, and then we have some other report backs because we have been so busy, and Teresa has been especially busy. So I've asked her to, and we removed a couple items on about our budget and stuff, but I did want to turn it over to her to go over these items.
Okay, real quick, we had 3 days of fun at REI's grand opening at Beechwood. We were the guests of Bike Athens. We thank you for sharing your space with us. The weather was terrible. Otherwise, we would have been outside in our new tent.
And Randy was outside on
Friday,
Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, I was there Friday.
Right. But, yeah, it was good. We talked to a lot of people. We collected some, names and email addresses of people who are interested in what we're doing. And the idea is at some point we, can set up a little listserv, and then we can, send out some news bulletins, as things happen. For example, like with our new revision to the AIM plan, we can ask people if they're interested in letting their voices be heard. So then we had, Lauren and I got to speak to the mayor and commission kind of by surprise on Thursday for our budget presentation, which was the first time that we've been asked to do this since our birth. And so that was interesting. But we don't know if we have gotten our $12,000 budget approved or not, but I'm sure at some point we'll hear that. And then the last meeting we did have some proposed expenditures that,
And I did go ahead and remove that from the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Since we,
sorry, I've got an old agenda. Sorry, people.
I am kind of updating this up to the minute.
Yeah.
So.
It's okay. All right. So never mind. So we're going to get busy and spending some of our FY23 budget funds.
Then the other item I was wondering about is like, are we going to get high res versions of the logo? the new logo?
Daniel and I need to talk to Ellen and just get that.
I emailed her today, so we'll talk in the next couple of days.
And something I forgot to leave on here, but it's still on Teresa's agenda. Do we know who would be in charge of the social media person? We figure that out.
I don't think I can be in charge. I think what might be best is for Teresa, for you to talk with Jeff Montgomery to work it out with him and see. He's our public information officer. I think there's some important things to consider in terms of like, y'all are quasi-governmental. So like if someone were to comment on a video and you deleted that comment because it was vulgar or something, that would be an infringement on their First Amendment rights because you are governmental. So there's a lot of just training things that go into social media, and BACs don't really usually get training. So he wouldn't be providing training to you, but he can probably give you better guidance than I can give you on that.
Okay, I'll call him. I'll do last.
So just y'all don't delete anything that gets put on public record.
Haven't deleted anything so far.
That's
Nobody
the
said
main,
anything nasty yet.
yeah, that's the main advice I've been given, like the informal advice is we cannot delete anything. So we won't. Okay, anything else, Teresa?
No, that's pretty much it.
Are the swag and stuff, has that been already figured out and I missed the emails?
Yes, I had just said that since I agreed with you that since we had approved the expenditure on the reflective vests and outreach materials that y'all were authorized to figure out, we'll get that going forward.
Perfect.
Since we approved that previously. All right, so committee report backs, we're 2 minutes behind. Any updates from our corridor committees, Atlanta Highway, Lexington Road, Prince Avenue? Okay,
Nope.
great. We need to determine our Athens in Motion committee meetings. Are there any quick updates that we have not covered from those committees? I didn't get anything from you.
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's just gonna be plan revision stuff. Yeah, no, I know y'all are working on things. Grants and data, when do you want to meet?
I don't know.
Do we need a meeting this month for grants and data?
That's how you phrase it. I see. You tell me. I don't need one, but you tell me.
I don't have any grants coming up that I need y'all's help with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just circulated some material that we commented on, so. Yeah, so I don't think we need to meet this month.
Okay, and as far as data goes, I can't think of anything, so.
Yeah.
All right.
So Mark
So
is
what-
gonna handle with just one off, the AARP grant question.
Yeah, I'll talk to Alan about that.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure that.
The one thing I might want, in terms of the data, it might be helpful to have a meeting with staff to discuss the prioritization. I've been working on that. I've got some ideas around updating some of the criteria and moving some around, and
Okay.
I would love to get staff input and before sharing with you guys.
Great.
So I'll be in touch, Sherelle and Daniel, and we can set up a time to
Okay.
Zoom at each other.
Education communications, our normal spot that we hold for that, I
Second Tuesday.
have a thesis defense that I'm gonna be sitting in on. So
We can move it.
is there a time or day that you'd prefer?
Gosh,
Or do we need one this month?
in 2022, what am I doing in 2022?
It's not still there.
Okay, let's try this again. Okay. So you're saying on 14, you're tied up.
Well, until 5 o'clock.
Well, I don't mind meeting after that. That's fine if it's okay with anybody else who wants to participate.
Actually, I might keep that open. She might want to go out for drinks to celebrate her defense.
You might want to just do.
And I never know how long. There's like deliberation and stuff. So I'm gonna say, right, Tuesday's not available.
Daniel, if you want, I can lead this. Sorry, my kids are losing it. I can lead this one if we're gonna be talking about like the Vision Zero communications and stuff.
Perfect.
But I'd rather not do it later in the evening because my kids start losing their mind.
Right. Well, so are we still back on the 14th, Daniel?
Yes, that works. I won't be there, but.
Right, okay, well, Sherelle, what works for you?
What the usual time is next Tuesday at what time?
I'm asking you what works for you.
Normally it's 4 to 5:30 is what we have for these.
Can y'all do any earlier?
We can do it earlier.
3 to 4:30.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
On what day?
Tuesday, 14th.
Tuesday, the 14th.
All right.
Thank you, Sherelle. And then policy,
Teresa, are you planning to send a calendar invite or do you need me to do that?
I'm sending it right now. You're good.
Okay, thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
then policy and projects.
Real fast, Lauren, are you planning on sending me that letter? Like soon? When, how are you getting that signed?
We
I just have to
got
submit it like
You didn't just
soon.
didn't materialize.
I mean, I can forge your signature, I guess.
Yes, I am sending it to you now as we are working out the policy and projects, meeting. So you are about to get it.
Thank you.
So typically we're the third Thursday of the month, which would be the 16th.
Yes, typically.
Yeah.
So, but there was conversation last time that 4 was too early, for some, but
Yeah, attendance has been low.
yeah, I think it was just me and you last time.
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking at the 16th.
Yeah.
I do have, I'll go ahead and say that on my calendar is a planning meeting or something. Oh, the North Chase Street Public Info Open House is for the design staff team. Okay, so yeah, I can't do later than 5:30. So we could choose a different day if it needs to be after 5.
If it matters, I can't do that day.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could do the 23rd.
Okay.
Okay,
Wait, what?
what time?
Um,
Are y'all meeting in person or online?
In person. Well, with the option.
It's officially in person, but it's optional online. I could do after 5:15 on that Thursday. I have a class that I'm speaking to in environment design that Thursday.
I can do between 5 and 5:45. Or I could probably do 4:30 if there's a meeting.
Other days will work too for me.
Yeah, I'm not, Thursday is not a hard day.
It's like the entire rest of the day is open for me, but from 2:30 to 5:10, the Tanner Building.
Well, why don't you guys come up with a day, because I'm pretty flexible.
Okay, I think that's totally,
It's nice to not have to work. Yeah.
the problem is because I wouldn't mind starting the meeting, but we can't really start it without Daniel. Because he's got to set up. the
Right.
lines. That's the issue.
Is there anyone else who would want to be a part of that meeting that? It's also 4:30 on Wednesday.
The 22nd.
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
I think we'll be out of town that day.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, I haven't gotten a plane ticket yet.
Okay, so you'll be out on the 22nd.
Boy.
Fifteenth, the week before on a Wednesday.
I took March.
Mm-hmm.
Your birthday.
Beware the eyes of March. Yeah, so Wednesday, March 15th. Or, what time?
What works best for you, Lauren?
Okay,
I'm open after noon, after 12 o'clock.
probably 5, but I could do as early as 4:30. I blocked off now.
5 would be good.
Okay, so policy and projects is 5 PM, March 15th.
Good.
5 PM.
If you could get that to me, the agenda for it, just as soon as you can, I'm gonna probably try to get all these onto the calendar center and just let me know and I'll get the agenda uploaded. I'll get it.
Thank y'all, taking the time to do that. So, Dan. With our last couple of minutes, any other committee or commission updates? I know Dale is not here. I hope he's okay. I don't think I've received anything from him. UGA.
Nothing new. We launched that partnership with Spin Bike Rental, and they're starting to increase the number of bicycles they're kind of releasing onto campus.
Okay.
And they're also looking at adding some additional racks. They're kind of identifying they have a heat map, some hot zones where they're getting dropped off, where there's not necessarily a bike rack. So they're looking to put a bike rack there.
Okay.
To try to just spread them around campus. And we also talked to them, we pushed them back a little bit to ACC.
Yeah, we received a MOU from them to start discussions about expansion into the right of way. So working on that from the admin side, working with our attorney's office. I think initially the conversation is kind of downtown and public right of ways, because right now they're geofenced. Then I've heard a few complaints about just the bike locking down while you're biking along the road, even if it's along campus sometimes, because geofence can be a little wonky, but yeah.
Yeah, we actually removed we had some out at the health science campus, and that was the only spot you could go was really on that tiny little campus. If you left the campus to come to the main campus, it shut down.
Okay.
So some of them were being left on Prince Avenue, and we quickly just said, let's remove them all.
Could they just like expand the geofence to go along there?
They can. There was some concern about encouraging the travel along there from the university perspective. But if Athens-Clarke County kind of gets involved and creates some more spots along the way, maybe
Like better bike infrastructure, maybe?
Yeah.
Cool.
We should talk about that.
That was opposed, I'll say.
So I think with the warm weather, we'll see. I saw the numbers from last week and it was a spike. It was the highest they've had all year.
Awesome.
Great.
I still need to try it out.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. We'll try to do, is Ronnie still on the call? Cool. I'll see if I can get our admin team to go on campus and try it out. I don't know if we have students. It's for anyone, right?
It's for anyone. It's an app. You download the app and
Okay.
put some money on it.
Got the app already?
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got some folks I can try it out with, people who don't actually normally ride, so.
So maybe we'll see a reduction in vehicles on campus a little bit if we expand into Athens-Clarke County a little bit.
Has there ever been, I mean, I know at one point freshmen were not allowed to have cars if they were living in the dorms. Is that?
That's not been the case, and we don't have time to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's
No,
not what
I always want to talk about
That
that.
never come up.
it comes up a lot, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
I don't imagine it ever.
Yeah, at some point, at some point I want to sit down with you,
Yeah, sure.
but I will.
That's kind of the major thing going on right now from our side.
Gotcha. Thank you. And we submitted a recommendation letter on behalf of the GA Bike Ped folks. They were applying for a governor's office for highway safety. We were happy to submit that for them. And love our collaboration with UGA when it can happen.
All right, y'all, I gotta go, but I'm looking forward to receiving that letter and getting this grant submitted,
I'm
so.
sorry, I got distracted. I downloaded it. I'm sorry, Cheryl.
No worries, no
You
worries.
gotta get your work
Submit
day.
without it, that's what happens.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm sorry. Let me just do this.
All right, y'all, gotta go take care of the kiddos before bedtime.
Okay, I'm
Have
gonna
a
get
good
now,
night.
Cheryl, so you can end your work day. Bye, Cheryl.
Thanks, Lauren, I
It's
appreciate it.
done. It's sent to you. I hope no one-
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's typo, you guys. It says no subject and it just say LAYREV. I think that's supposed to be letter.
Already.
Okay.
You want to do the last little,
Yeah.
person want to talk for?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I've just lost the agenda. I don't have any T-Splost updates other than T-Splost 2018 has, I guess, for all intents and purposes, been disbanded. And I missed the last meeting because it gets into my UGA email address, I think. but they have that updated. And I have not heard any updates on the advisory committee for T-Splosh 2022, 2023. Have you, Lisa? Interesting.
Who's supposed to organize that? Is that like blast office thing?
I think it's Flossing
Cheshire.
with the mayor and commission.
Robert,
Oh, maybe, it may be Robert.
I assume he's the staff person. I would find it kind of strange. I don't really know any details on that.
So no one has heard anything. That's all we know.
Right.
Okay, so anyone who needs to go or sign off, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll move into final rounds of parting thoughts. I will pass the torch to the vice chair.
Oh, good. I've got too many balls in the air and I'm very tired all the time, but I love Athens in motion.
Ditto. Blaine,
Nothing else, thanks.
Randy?
No, covered a lot today.
Okay, yes. John?
Briefly, working on, talking to GDOT about Prince Avenue, expansion of our project,
Ooh.
westward toward the loop. They've advised me on the best way to get that ball rolling. I have taken the first step and I don't know that it makes a lot of sense for me to talk about it right now, but if anybody would like to discuss offline, I'm happy to. GDOT is really amenable to this prospect of doing this work. And never had been until we got this project done. And now their part is, essentially behind. And they need to bring it up to standard to match the good work that Daniel and his colleagues have done and that we've done. So I'm hopeful. I'm really, really hopeful that this can go somewhere. Yeah.
So maybe we have not just the dream team in Athens-Clarke County, but maybe on GDOT.
One of our main allies at GDOT has just been promoted to a pretty high level. And he has been trying to get this work done. And I think it has as good a shot now as it ever has.
Wow, I love hearing that.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
That's all I got.
Ex officio, any thoughts? Staff? Well, here, let's go to Mark, yeah.
Mark.
They had like
Disembodied voice has nothing to add.
And Daniel.
I'm just pumped that I got done checking my emails today.
Good feeling.
And I took a week-long vacation and fully separated, and I came back to 380. So that was an achievement. But yeah, looking forward to figuring out what's on my list next, because I'm kind of in that nice hazy spot of like, oh, I finished that, and there's other things I need to do. And I'll figure out what those are.
You should not have told us that.
Yeah, that's bad.
Not a good idea. You're gonna be inundated.
Oh, I already am. They're all in my email. I just haven't figured out which things are. So, yeah.
All right, well, we are only 4 minutes over. Thank you all. I look forward to our executive committee coming up with the agenda, and we're gonna stay pretty busy, but please take care of yourselves. If you can get out and enjoy this weather, please do so before the March blizzard comes. I'm sure it's coming on the heels of this, right?
Oh, please.
There's one thing I thought of. There's like an appropriations thing that the senators like reach out and say like, hey, you all want money to do things in communities. And so the deadline's on the 7th of March. So we got a week. If I can pull it together, we'll put together some requests, but I'm thinking we're gonna ask for some money to fill in sidewalk gaps and just implement some of the bare minimum things that we need to be doing. So.
Okay, you're killing me, but I want the money, so let me know what I need to sign off on.
No, you don't need to sign off on anything.
Okay.
It's literally, it's like a request
Okay.
to Senator Oxoff. So
All right, I'm going to
it's coming from me.
sign off here. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Bye.
Bye.